name is Waheeda Waheed.
I am Alia Shahira Binti Mohamad.
Assalamualaikum and hi. My name is Najwa Binti Ahmad Zainuddin.
My name is Irdina Lidyya Binti Azlan. Okay, now we proceed to company background. Sunway Berhad was established in 1974, and the fun fact is Sunway Berhad is one of Malaysia's largest conglomerates. The company mainly operates in property and construction. In addition, the company also involved in other divisions such as trading and business, quarry and machinery, hospitality, and many more that make a total of 30 divisions and across 50 locations worldwide. The founder and the owner of the company is Tan Sri Datuk Sri Dr. Jeffrey Chia. Next, in a big picture, Sunway Berhad has delivered 30,000 houses and has close to 11 billions of assets under management and investment and REIT divisions. This could not be done without approximately 16,000 of strong employee base and the company headquarters, which is located in Sunway City KL, Selangor, Malaysia. And the amazing fact is Sunway Berhad is the one of top 100 listed in Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad.
Next, I will explain about the management approach. Firstly, let's take a look at the factor to consider having a segment reporting. To identify operating segments, Chief Operating Decision Maker may refer to these factors. The first factor is the nature of business activities. It is identified by any activity carried out by the company with the objective of profit maximization. Next, the existence of managers responsible for the activities. Each segment is controlled by an individual who is responsible for ensuring the performance of the segment and making contact with the CODM to discuss operating activities, financial results, or plans for the segment. The third factor is the information provided to the Board of Directors. The CODM may refer to the information assessed by the Board of Directors as it contains reliable information regarding the performance of the entity. These factors can be considered by the entity to aggregate multiple operating segments to become a single segment if they are similar. The first one is nature of the products or services. It refers to the types of products or services. For Sunway Berhad, the products and services included property development, property investment, leisure, hospitality, construction, building materials, quarry, and many more. Next, nature of the production process. It refers to how the products are produced or the services provided. For example, healthcare involves the operations of medical center and the provision of medical consultation services. The third factor is type or class of customer for the products or services. It refers to how the company classify their customers. It varies from customer to customer. For example, type of customers based on income, geographic, or interest. The last factor is method used to distribute the products or provide the services that indicates on how the products and services are being delivered to the customers. Different types of plants, machineries, and motor vehicles are used by the company for each business segment. Next, we move to the type of segment. Operating segment can be classified into two types. The first one is by business segment, which depends on individual product or service or a group of related products or services. Sunway Berhad have 8 business segments, which are property development, property investment, construction, trading and manufacturing, quarry, healthcare, investment holding, and others that includes hospitality, leisure, and building materials. The second one is by geographical segment, which providing products and services based on region or within particular economic environment. Sunway Berhad's geographical segments comprises of Malaysia, Singapore, China, India, Australia, Indonesia, United Kingdom, and other countries including Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, Myanmar, and Philippines. Now, let's move to the Chief Operating Decision Maker. The Chief Operating Decision Maker is a function and not necessarily a manager with specific title. It will vary from entity to entity and may be the Chief Executive Officer, Chief Operating Officer, Chief Financial Officer, the Senior Management Team, or the Board of Directors that is responsible for making strategic decisions about the entity's segments. The responsibility of Chief Operating Decision Maker are to allocate resources to the segment and assess the performance of the operating segments. The Chief Operating Decision Maker of Sunway Berhad or Tan Sri Datuk Sri Dr. Jeffrey Chia, who is the Executive Chairman and Non-Independent Executive Director, Tan Sri Datuk Dr. Chew Chee Kin, the President and Non-Independent Executive Director, who is responsible for meeting the group's business performance targets and implementing the board strategies and policies, and Evan Chia Yan Shin, who is the Executive Vice President at the President Office and Chief Executive Officer of Sunway Berhad in China. Sunway Berhad also have Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director for its business segment, which are Chung Soo Kyong, the Group Managing Director of Construction Division, Lee Chuan Seng, the CEO of Quarry Division, Yeo Yuan Chi, the CEO of Trading and Manufacturing Division, Danny Ng Boon Liang, the CEO of Building Materials Division, Chan Hoi Choi, the CEO of Shopping Malls and Theme Parks, and lastly, Lau Beng Long, the Managing Director of Healthcare Division.
Alright, now I am going to explain about my part, which is how to identify reportable and non-reportable segment. Well, we can identify these two by using quantitative threshold test. We need to calculate it according to its formula until we get the value of more or equal than 10%, then the segment will automatically become a reportable segment. And all the tested reportable segment need to be tested for 75% of the total revenue requirement test to qualify the reportable segment as a reportable segment for the whole. Okay, what happens if the segment does not meet 10%? Then it will definitely classify as non-reportable segment and need to be disclosed under other segment category. Okay, this slide I am going to explain about the category of the quantitative threshold. The first one is revenue basis. This explains on the external and the internal value shall be more or equal to 10% of all the combined revenue of all operating segments. The second one is profit or loss basis. This category tells us that the profit or loss must be more or equal to 10% from its total. How to determine whether to choose profit or loss? It is actually depends on the greater value in absolute amount. You need to take the greater in absolute amount. And then for the last category is on the asset basis. More or less, it's just the same like the previous two categories, which is the asset must be more or equal to 10% from all the combined asset of all operating segments. Now we proceed to the 75% total revenue requirement test. To identify this method, we need to calculate the combination of external and internal revenue of the identified operating segment must be more or equal to 75 from the total external revenue of the entity. What should we do if the 75% test is not sufficient? Then we can add more reportable segment even though the segment actually failed the 10% threshold test until the amount of at least 75% is met. This slide, I am going to tell you how to determine the reportable and non-reportable segment of Sunway Berhad. As I mentioned earlier, to determine about the reportable and non-reportable, we must test it using 10% of the threshold test. So, what did I do is I took out the revenue of its own business segment and then I divide it with the total revenue of all the business segment to get the percentage whether it is more or less than 10%. As you can see, for property development, its total revenue is actually 528,161. Then I divide the amount with the total revenue of business segment, which is 6,078,172. Then I get 8.69%. This indicates that it is non-reportable segment. Same goes to property investment, query, and others, since their percentage is actually less than 10%. So they fail the threshold test. As for the construction, trading and manufacturing, healthcare, investment holding are all succeed the threshold test because the percentage is more than 10%.
Okay, now I will explain about determination of 75% of total revenue requirement test. The formula is external revenue by reportable segment divided by total external revenue by all segments. Based on the table, this would result into 62.51%. That does not exceed 75% and does not meet the requirement. To meet the requirement, the company should add one of the most highest percentage from non-reportable segment, which is property development. So on these tables, these are the new segmental report that has been adjusted.
There are advantages and also disadvantages that the company could achieve if they use segment reporting. The first advantages that I would like to elaborate is transparency is displayed in the report. The key advantage of having a segment reporting is transparency. This can be proved because the segment reporting always disclose information about which segment are profitable and which segment are on the bottom line for the organization, which operate in several geographical areas and also several industry. Besides, the company could not hide any unprofitable ventures as they will need to separate between the profitable ventures and non-profitable ventures. The next advantages is provide accurate assessment. It is said that having a segment reporting will help the investor to see full picture of a company. Without having a segment reporting, the financial investor may observe that the company is doing well, while the other investor may be concerned that the profit are only concentrated in only one sector, while the other areas are falling. Thus, by having a segment reporting, the financial investor can see the full picture of a company as a whole. Last but not least, segment reporting also help the investor to have a better understanding of any changes that might affect the overall figures of the company. If the earnings of the company are significantly higher than projected, the segment reporting will show where this profit coming from. Besides, the stakeholder can also examine the same report to check whether the figures are reliable or not. It is intended to help the investor to have a better understanding of the company and the company future cash flow. Now, moving on to the disadvantages of having a segment reporting. The first disadvantages of having a segment reporting is data manipulation. The segment reporting can manipulate their own data and presented it through management-ized format. Besides, cherry-pick metric could also happen where the company would select a segment and manipulate the data of the segment to show that the segment have a better performance, which can convey a desired message to the stakeholders. The last disadvantages is misunderstanding might occur among the investor. An investor might utilize the information about the segment reporting to help them find right balance of their portfolio. But if this information are lacking, an investor might unwittingly retain too great a commitment only in one industry and miss out an investment opportunity in other industry because they fail to understand and evaluate them in light of their own goals.
We proceed to basis of preparation. There are two bases of preparation, which is integral method and discrete method. Integral method is interim report is a fraction of annual report, while discrete method is interim report is a separate period. As examples, quarterly. Based on our evaluation, Sunway Berhad using discrete method as their basis of preparation, since it publish quarterly interim financial reporting. To prove it, Sunway Berhad using MFRS for financial period year ended 31 December 2020. Moreover, the company also prepared interim report accordance to MFRS 134 interim financial reporting. In addition, the company also based on paragraph 9.2 of Bursa Malaysia Securities Listing Requirement and presented in RM, and all the values are rounded up to the nearest thousand.
Now, I will tell you the accounting policy that Sunway Berhad used to prepare its interim report. We choose MFRS 16 leases and MFRS 116 property plant and equipment for their accounting policy. For MFRS 16, lessors shall classify each lease whether it is operating or finance lease and treat it accordingly. For the ROU asset, which is right of use, it shall be measured at cost, and for the lease liability, it shall be calculated depends on the payment made, whether it is arrears or advance payment. And then, the next accounting policy, which is MFRS 116, Property, Plant and Equipment. This accounting policy is about an asset that are held by Sunway Berhad for production, rental to others or admin purpose. The measurement of this accounting policy is very straightforward, which is we shall measure it at cost that consists of purchase price, we add on directly attributable cost and initial cost of dismantling the asset. That's all from my part. Thank you.
Sunway Berhad issued their report using quarterly report, where the company issued the report 4 times a year, which is in quarter 1, started from January 2020, and lastly quarter 4, which ends on December 2020. Sunway Berhad issued statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, statement of changes in equity, statement of cash flow, and also lastly, statement of financial position. Now, we're moving on to the period of current and also comparative for each statement prepared by the company. Firstly, we look at the statement of financial position. For the current interim report, it started on 1st January 2020 and ended on 31st December 2020, which is for a period of 12 months. While for the comparative, it started on 1st January 2019 and ended on 31st December 2019, which is also for a period of 12 months. Next, statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income. It started on 1st October 2020 and ended on 31st December 2020, which is for a period of 3 months, followed by the cumulative, which started on 1st January 2020 and ended on 31st December 2020, which is for a period of 12 months. In the other hand, for the comparative, it started on 1st October 2019 and ended on 31st December 2019, which is for a period of 3 months also, and followed by the cumulative, which is started on 1st January 2019 and ended on 31st December 2019, which is for the period of 12 months. Next, for the statement of changes in equity and also statement of cash flow, it have the same date for both statement, which is for the current interim report and also for the comparative report. It have the same date, which is for the current interim report. It started on 1st January 2020 and ended on 31st December 2020, while for the comparative, it started on 1st January 2019 and ended on 31st December 2019.
Last but not least, there are 2 adjustments made by the company to be included in the interim report. The first one is inventories. The cost of inventories as at 31st December 2020 is 2,101,470,000 ringgit, while the net realizable value of the inventories is 1,778,750,000 ringgit. In determining the value of inventories, we need to choose the lower between the cost and the net realizable value. Since the net realizable value is lower than the cost, the value of inventories as at 31st December 2020 is 1,778,750,000 ringgit. Next, for account receivables. During the current year end 2020, the gross amount of account receivables is 2,440,581,000 ringgit. However, it is estimated that there will be 10% uncollectible rate by year end. So, only 90% of the gross amount of account receivables are collectible. Therefore, the net amount of account receivables to be reported is 2,196,522,900 ringgit. Here is the extract of Statement of Financial Position for the year ended 31st December 2020 for Sunway Berhad before and after the adjustment.